Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy! Today we have driftwood. I have no idea what kind of driftwood. This comes to us from viewer Dennis and his wife from California. They were up here, actually they were in Oregon last summer, I guess it was, on an RV trip. And I think Dennis said he picked this up in Oregon, maybe near their campground. I'm not real sure. It's driftwood, that's what I know. I know it came from Dennis, that's what I know. I don't know much else. What are we gonna do with it? Well, I'm gonna have to trim it up some. This will be the top, and I can't swing 20 inches on my lathe, so I'm gonna have to trim off. You see here, I trimmed off, it was, I don't know, another 4 feet on here. I trimmed that off, but I'm gonna have to trim off a little bit more, and I'm gonna trim off just these 2 real ragged points right there. I wanna leave most of that because that is absolutely gorgeous to me. But this will be the top center of the bowl, somewhere in this area. This will be the bottom. Of course, I have to cut off that big branch there. A couple other little projections. I'll just get it down to where it'll fit on the lathe okay. So off to the bandsaw I go. So now we're a little bit more manageable. Now it's about 14 by 12 by 5 inches tall. That kind of looks like maple to me, but the bark does not look like maple. I'm going to go over to the drill press and drill a flat spot here in the center for my chuck jaws to set against, and drill a hole in the middle of that for my woodworm screw, and I'll meet you back at the lathe. What you can see here that I've done, I drilled a 2.5 inch hole with my Forstner bit. Then I drilled a 3.5 inch hole with my Forstner bit. And then I drilled my hole for my woodworm screw. Now we're gonna get it mounted up, we hope. I'm hoping, I had a little trouble drilling that hole. It's right on the border of this half hole. So I'm hoping I didn't make it too big. And I'm hoping it's gonna seat on here before the hole wears out, and it doesn't look like it's going to, so I might have to go to another step yet. Not enough wood. Okay, I'm going to have to install a faceplate ring. Well, then I ran into troubles doing that. I'm only going to have 2 screws holding this faceplate ring. This one broke off. This one doesn't have anything to go into. But I'll have tailstock support for most of that time, so I still feel secure. I don't recommend that you do it. I do not recommend that for a second. I'll bring up my tailstock here and we'll find out how fast we can turn it. We can spin at 380 RPM, a little faster than I thought. I'm going to be using a 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. Time to sharpen up. Oh my, look at that grain. Wow. Well, I'm trying to decide about a base. You know, I only have half a base here. There's nothing over here. I've got plenty of room for a tenon, but I don't want it to fall over when it's standing upright, which means I have to keep going up higher until I get a little wider. And I hate wasting it away like that, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Uh-oh. Right through the top. Well, I didn't see that coming. No wonder my chisel's going dull. It's just full of sand. I think I'm going to cut this off so that I can get closer. Gotta remember I only have those 2 screws holding it. Well, I think I'm just to the point where it's touching here now for a base. Here, not here. But that's okay. As long as we're touching here and everywhere else, we can skip a little bit here. That's okay. But I'm going to have to cut this off again. I'm just about done for the day. Getting near dinner time. I just want to get enough for a base so that I can sleep well. Yeah, definitely touching. I'll mark out for a tenon. Ow. Watch your hand, Phil. I'm loving it, but what a lot of work to get to this point. I'm going to use this diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. Very, very interesting piece. See you tomorrow. There's so much nature in this piece, it's just going to take forever to sand. I'm going to start with my Sandoflex at 180 grit. I'm going to sand all of the non-turned parts, bark inclusions, things like that. When I'm done with that, I'll switch to my 2-inch disc starting at 80 grit. I got to tell you, this isn't my nicest turning job. When you have all of these hit and miss voids, you know, plus the fact that it's out of balance, it's just impossible to get a good clean cut. At least it's impossible for me. Someone else I'm sure can do it very well. Anyway, I'll show you both of those as soon as I get my mask on. And that's just a taste of it. I'll be doing a whole lot more of that. And then with the lathe spinning in reverse, at about 350. And I'll tell you, this soft pad that I have is absolutely necessary for something like this. If that was a hard pad, oh my God, I wouldn't even do it. So that is what I'll be doing for quite a little while. I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on there. See you in a bit. Well, yes, that was quite a chore. I just can't wait for you to see the top, at least from my angle here, which is not that good. It looks really cool. Of course, we still have to turn it. Duh. I've had to remove a lot of wood to get down to this base so that I'd have a base for it to set on. So this is nowhere near as thick as it used to be. I haven't measured it. It looks like it's maybe 3 inches thick at the main part. There's some that's 4 inches, but I think we started out at 5 inches maybe. And I'm going to have to do a lot of brushing on here. Now this part that I'm applying sanding sealer, that's what I'm applying to right now, is where I made my bandsaw cut to cut off the 3 or 4 foot piece that was sticking out from there. So I sanded that lightly, but it still shows some saw marks, and I like it that way. It just shows the progression of the piece. Any saw marks on here are mine. This is just a piece of driftwood that Dennis picked up. I still don't really know what kind of wood this is. If anybody has a guess, give me a shout out. I wonder if it's Myrtle wood. If you got this in Oregon, they're famous for their Myrtle wood. And I don't think I've ever turned any Myrtle wood. I'm almost positive I have not. I'm so glad I was able to save some of this, like this right here. So I'll put on 2 coats of this sanding sealer and 2 coats of shellac, applied exactly like you see me applying it, brush and a rag. So I'll bring you back when it's time to start working on the top side, which I hope isn't a problem. I have a bad habit of drilling my woodworm screw too deep, so I'm hoping it doesn't come out through the bottom when I remove the tenon. Oh my. See you in a while. Well, I'm just so mad at myself. I measured how deep this hole is that I drilled for my woodworm screw, and it's 1.25 inches. I only need 3/4 of an inch for a woodworm screw, but I always tend to over drill it, and I wouldn't have over drilled this if I didn't have to take off 2 inches of height, I guess. About 2 inches. 1.5 inches anyway. The only thing that might save me, it goes right into the middle of the tenon, and when I remove the tenon, as long as I don't have to remove any more than I absolutely have to remove to get above the base that this is going to set on, then I might be okay. It's hard to measure because it's so irregular on the bottom and so irregular on the top. It's just real hard to measure, but it's going to be close, real close. So I will only clear out the bottom of the bowl just till that hole is gone. For width-wise, I think I want to stop about here. I really, really, really like this. That looks just like the waves that maybe, I don't know if this was found in a river or what, where Dennis found it, but it looks just like the waves, and I love it, and I don't want to lose any more than I have to. So I'll probably come about here, which will take me fairly close to this edge, but not too close. I'm going to be turning at 480 RPM. 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask, and face shield on. feel good. Oh, I did drill out. Remember I told you I broke off one of the screws. I drilled it out and pulled it out of there. So that's not something I have to worry about. I know I'm not to the bottom of that hole yet, but I want to see if I'm at the bottom of anything else. Boy, it's just going to be close. I've got about 3/4 of an inch bottom. I don't know how much further that hole goes. Oh, dang it, still there. Oh boy, getting close too. About 3/8 of an inch now. Looks like we're just about to the bottom of it. I kind of think I'm at the bottom. I think that's just a dark piece of wood there in the center. I just can't go much further. Nope, that's 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to try a little shear scraping on the side here. I doubt if I can. Can't get my hands close enough. Oh well, that did do a lot of good. Yeah, it did. Okay, we'll scrape the rest of it with the negative rake scraper, this little guy. But I'm going to have to sharpen it. Wonder if I can pick the speed up any. Not really. About 490. Okay, time for sanding. I'm starting to feel real good about this piece again. To me, it's just gorgeous as it is. Now it's time to sand. I'm going to start with my Sandoflex at 180 grit. I'm going to sand everything that isn't turned. I'm going to sand this in here and all of this. I did sand some of this yesterday, as much as I could reach. But I'll sand it more. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just beautiful? Doesn't that just look like waves on a beach? So anyway, 180 grit on the Sandoflex, and then 80 grit on my 2-inch disc sander to sand all of the turn parts. And I'll show you that as soon as I get my mask on. And I'll be doing a lot more of that. Then with the lathe spinning at about 350 RPM. And that's surprisingly easy. Yay. So I'll bring you back here in a little bit and we'll put some sanding sealer on there. See you in a bit. Well, this sanded up just smooth as silk. I'm pleasantly surprised. And look at that beautiful grain. Now, this is going to take quite a little while to brush all of this. But I'm up to the task. Because it's going to be such a nice contrast with the finished wood. I have to be careful not to go over the edge here onto my shellac finish. So it looks like it's going to take 2 coats of this sanding sealer and then 2 coats of shellac, same as I did on the outside. This is just gorgeous. Man, I hope you guys think so. It did take quite a little bit of work getting in all these areas, sanding it. I don't know what I'd do without an air compressor, I'll tell you that. There was so much sand. So, share it around for me, would you? There's a share button there, right below the window that you're looking at. You can share it on Facebook or any of the social media platforms that you might be part of. And it's not so much for me, it is for me, but it's because I want people to see this. I don't want them to see me. I want them to see what's possible with a piece of driftwood. With a piece of driftwood. Just found on the beach. Nobody paid $50 for it or $100 for it at some woodworking store or wood supplier. Just found on the beach by Dennis. Good going, Dennis. Oh my. Oh my, here it comes. Here it comes. Woo. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to be diligently working here. I'll see you back here in a bit and we'll take off the tenon. See you in a bit. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. I'm going to put a non-slip cloth over that and bring up the bowl. Bring up my tailstock. I still have my center hole there for reference. So I'll just drive the live center into that. And that'll help center the piece. Bring up my tool rest. Spin the piece up. I'll hold my thumbnail against the edge of the tenon, see if it's hitting equally all the way around. And it's pretty good. We're going to start at about 500 RPM with a 3/8 inch bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. I want to check for clearance, and when I say that, what I mean is I want this to be below the base that it's setting on. So I just put my chisel across there and I can see that I've got a good sized gap. So we do have plenty of clearance. That's pretty small. So I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch swept back bowl gouge so that I can get in there closer. And I'm going to adjust my tool rest just a little bit higher and a little bit closer so that I don't get under that little nub. Because if you get under it, you can make it pop right out of there. Now I'm going to slow the speed down to about 200 RPM. And just keep working it away. The piece is kind of big and a little bit heavy, so I want to keep it under control at all times. And out of balance as well. Now it's pretty small, so I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge. against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge. Pressure towards the headstock. Left hand on the switch. And when the little nub stops turning or disintegrates, we'll know we're through. Like that. Now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand it up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Be sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can see the before and after shots of this piece. Again, if you'd share it, that would be terrific. I want people to see this. I want them to see what's possible from a piece of driftwood. Well, here it is. One driftwood bowl in the books. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just beautiful? If you know what kind of wood it is, let me know, please. Just put it in the comments down there. The piece finished up about 14 by almost 13 by almost 4 inches tall. There's just so much to see here. I love that area right there. All of this nature. And of course, that's my favorite part. Oh my. That's just beautiful. There's the bottom all finished up. I just put driftwood on there. It'd be nice to know what kind of driftwood, but I think driftwood is the important part. That's what's important to me. Just laying on a beach somewhere, and here it is. I really think it's a masterpiece, and not because of what I've done. Okay, I made a hole in it, I polished it up some, but all that nature was just in there, just waiting to be shown off a little bit. Polished up. It's just wonderful. I don't see any animals in this one. You might somewhere. I looked pretty hard. I wanted to. I don't see any. Thank you so much, Dennis, for bringing this up to me for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos, about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.